Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Jaya Radha Gopinath Radha Gopinath Sri Radhe Jaya Radha Radha Gopinath Sri Radhe Jaya Radha Gopinath Radha Gopinath Sri Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Sri Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Jaya Radhe Jaya Sri Radhe Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadramai Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva जय ओम विष्णुपाद परिवंशकाचार्य अश्वतरेशत श्रीमद अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शीला प्रभुपाद की इस्कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य शीला प्रभुपाद की नामाचार्य शीला हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिर गोवर्धन की वृंदावन धाम की मायापुर नवदीप धाम की पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की भक्ति देवी की तुलसी देवी की सामवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की all glorious assembled devotees all glorious assembled devotees all glorious assembled devotees all glorious Shri Guru and Gauranga all glorious Srila Prabhupada की जय Hare Krishna. So, welcome to the morning Bhagavatam class. Today we are reciting the verse Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 16, Jaya and Vijaya cursed by the sages, and the text 11. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. The text 11. Ye Brahmanan Mayidiya Kshipaturchayantas. Tushadruda smita sudukshita padmavaktra. Vanyanuraga kalayatmajavadgrananta. Sambodhayanti aham ivaham upahartastai. E brahmanan mayidiya kshipatorchayantas. Tushadruda smita sudokshita padmavaktra. Vanyanuraga kalayatmajavadgrananta. Sambodhayanti aham ivaham upahartastai. Ye brahmanan mayidiya kshipatorchayantas. Tushadruda smita sudokshita padmavaktra. Vanyanuraga kalayatmajavadgrananta. Sambodhayanti aham ivaham upahartastai. Prabhuji. Ye brahmana mayidiya kshipatorchayantas. Sudokshita padmavaktra. Vanyanuraga kalayatmajavadgrananta. Sambodhayanti aham ivaham upahartastai. Ye brahmana mayidiya kshipatorchayantas. Tushadruda smita sudokshita padmavaktra. Vanyanuraga kalayatmajamadgrananta. Dodayanti. He brahmana mayidiya kshipatorchayantas. Tushadruda smita sudokshita padmavaktra. Vanyanuraga kalayatmajamadgrananta. Bodhayanti aham ivaham upahartastai. Mataji, anyone? Ye brahmanan mayidiya kshipatorchayantas. Tushadruda smita sudokshita padmavaktra. Vanyanuraga kalayatmajavadgrananta. Sambodhayanti aham ivaham upahartastai. So, word to word translation. Ye, which persons? Brahmanan, the Brahmanas. Mai, in me. Dhiya, with intelligence. Kshipata, uttering harsh words. Archayanta, respecting. Tushyat, gladdened. Hrida, hearts. Smita, smiling. Sudha, nectar. Ukshita, veg. Padma, lotus-like. Vakrata, faces. Vanya, with words. Anuraga Kalaya, loving, Atmajavat, like a son, Grananta, praising, Sambodhayanti, pacify, Aham, I, Eva, as, Aham, I, Upaharta, being controlled, Tai, by them. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. On the other hand, they captive my heart, who are gladdened in heart and who their lotus faces enlightened by nectarian smiles. Respect the Brahmanas, even though the Brahmanas utter harsh words. They look upon the Brahmanas as my own self and pacify them by praising them in loving words, even as a son would appease an angry father, or as I am pacifying you. Purport. It has been observed by in many instances in Vedic scriptures that when Brahmana or Vaishnava curse someone in angry mood, the person who is cursed does not take it upon himself to treat the Brahmanas or Vaishnavas in the same way. There are many examples of this. For instance, the sons of Kuvera, when cursed by the great sage Narada, did not seek revenge in the same harsh way, but submitted. Here also, when Jaya Vijaya were cursed by the four Kumaras, they did not become harsh towards them, rather they submitted. That should be the way of treating Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. One may sometimes be faced with the grievous situation created by Brahmana, but instead of meeting him with a similar mood, one should try to pacify him with a smiling face and mild treatment. Brahmanas and Vaishnavas should be accepted as earthly representatives of Narayana. Nowadays, some foolish persons have manufactured the term Daridra Narayana, indicating that the poor man should be accepted as a representative of Narayana. But in Vedic literature, we do not find that poor men should be treated as a representative of Narayana. Of course, those who are unprotected are mentioned here, but the definition of this praise is clear from the Shastras. The poor man should not be unprotected, but Brahmana should be especially be treated as the representative of Narayana and should be worshipped like him. It is especially said that to pacify the Brahmanas, one's face should be lotus-like. A lotus-like face is exhibited when one is adorned with love and affection. In this respect, the example of fathers being angry at the son and the sons trying to pacify the father with smiling, sweet words is very appropriate. Mangalacharya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyasya Krupa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktarunda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, from last few verses, we have been reading where the four Kumaras initially praised, four Kumaras were initially glorifying the Lord Vishnu, and once they finished the glorification, the Lord Vishnu started responding back. And in this regards, Lord Vishnu started praising Brahmanas first. So in the first thing we have to, in a previous purports and in a previous verses, Srila Prabhupada clearly mentioned Brahmana is nothing but Vaishnava and Vaishnavan. So that's what we have to understand in this context. So Brahmana and the Vaishnava, it's interchangeable, like the same meaning Prabhupada is giving. It's a devotee. And we should not consider the person who took in the Brahmana's family, we should not consider that him as only Brahmana. It's not like, so any devotee, we can treat it as a Brahmana. So with that understanding, we should keep on discussing these verses. So in today's verse, in yesterday's verse, Lord Vishnu was mentioning what would be the fate of devotees who doesn't respect Brahmanas. So that was one of the key message. It was mentioned in yesterday's verse. But in today's verse, Krishna is talking in a positive note, right? Where he's specifying the people who will be captivated in his heart. What kind of people will be captivated in his heart? So that's what he's mentioning here. In the translation, if you read, they captivate my heart, who are gladdened with heart, who their lotus faces enlightened by nectarian smiles, and respect the Brahmanas, even though Brahmanas utter harsh words. They look upon the Brahmanas as my own self and praising them in loving words. So these are all the various qualities Vishnu is mentioning here. When people behave with this, perform this kind of, exhibit these kind of qualities, the Vishnu remembers them in their heart. In this regards, I recollected one pastime from Ramayana. Lord Hanuman, once he visits Ramachandra, and Hanuman asks Lord Sri Ram that you have a book where it contains all the great devotees of Lord Ram. So then he wanted to see that. His expectation is, Hanuman thinks that, okay, he's one of the great devotees of the Lord Ram. He expects that his name will be there. So he takes the book and he goes through the entire book. So he could not find his name. So then he searches the book again and again, and he could not find the name. Then he asks Lord Sri Ram, so Prabhu, am I not a great devotee of you? So then Lord Ram gives another book, which contains the devotees Lord remembers in his heart. So it contains only Hanuman's name. So that's where the position of keeping, if a Bhagavan is trying to remember a person in his heart, that's like it should be like a Hanuman. One example is Hanuman. So similar thing, Vishnu is specifying here, like in which circumstances he will remember the devotees in his heart. So these are the nice qualities mentioned in this translation and the purport, where Vishnu is mentioning the devotees who exhibit these qualities, he will remember them in his heart. That is a very big statement from Lord Vishnu. He is giving all the opportunities where we can do some service and go back to Godhead. That's the one thing. So in this regard, the four qualities. And we try to see the qualities whatever mentioned, like the lotus face, the face should be enlightened with smiling, and he should respect Brahmanas, even though if they speak utter harsh words. So, is anyone followed these qualities in the previously? So, if you see any examples from our past, in the purport, Prabhupada mentioned Kuvera and Nalakuvera and Manigriva pastimes. We remember, right? Nalakuvera, Manigriva, the son of Kuvera, treasurer, and they were fully intoxicated, and they were doing all the bad activities. And in front of Narada Muni, when he arrived, they were still in intoxication, and they keep on doing the bad things. And Narada cursed them. And we all know the pastimes of Damodar Leela, what happens when the Lord Damodar delivers them from the curse. So similarly, here in this case, Jaya Vijaya. So even though the Brahman, even in these examples, they didn't respond back to the Brahmanas. Like the Jaya Vijaya, they didn't respond back to four Kumaras. in relation to the curse. And same thing with the Nalakuvera and Manigriva. Though they were intoxicated, but they did not respond back with the curse. And we have another beautiful pastime from Srimad Bhagavatam, where Parikshit Maharaj. So even Parikshit Maharaj also, he went for a hunting, and he went to an ashram where the Shamik Rishi is doing the meditation. And he was looking for someone. The Shamik Rishi was in deep meditation. He didn't realize that Parikshit Maharaj was there. And Parikshit Maharaj put his dead snake on his body, and he left. Because the Muni was in deep meditation, he didn't receive the king. So in his angry mode, then he did that offense against Brahmana. And later, the son of Shamik Rishi, Shringi, is a young Brahmana. He realized that what happened to with his father, and then he cursed Parikshit Maharaj. And Parikshit Maharaj got to know about this curse later, and then when he got to know, he didn't realize he didn't do anything against Shamik Rishi or Shringi. He know very well that he is having ability to counter back the curse, but he didn't respond back to the Brahmanas. So those are all the great examples we can see where even though the Brahmanas were cursing some of the great kings or any other people, they were not responding back. They are accepting the curse and proceeding. So in this regard, I remember one more quotation I read in some lectures. So it was like this: the curse of a Brahmana will be like a boon. And similarly, a boon from a materialistic person will be like a curse. How it is? Like, so if a Brahmana curse, why? His intention is not something like he's having grudge or he's having envious. What is the reason? The person who is not behaving properly, he's disrespecting Brahmana. He's doing all other bad things. So his Brahmana's aim is to bring him back to a good path. Bring him back to the positive, then the proper dharma path, and bring him back to the right path. So that was the intention when he's cursing. So we can see in the case of Nalakuvera and Manigriva. Now, those Nalakuvera and Manigriva, they were doing all intoxicated. They were intoxicated and they were doing all bad things. But still, Narada cursed them. But they didn't respond. What happened down the line in the past time? Lord Krishna came as a Damodara and he delivered them from the curse. Right? So, same thing even Parikshit Maharaj. He didn't respond back and he took it as a boon. It's the Krishna's plan. He understood. And he didn't do anything negative to counter the curse. Finally, he went to the Ganges and 7 days he recited he listened Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, and he was delivered. So, that is the example. When the boon of a Brahmana, we can treat it as curse of a Brahmana, we can treat it as a boon. Similarly, a boon of a materialist, non-devotee, materialistic person. How? What he bless? Okay, you bless with a good money or big house. Those kind of things he will bless. He will not be blessed like a devotee. Then what will happen? If you get big house, more money, what will happen? You will be entangled in repeated birth and death. So, is it a boon? Really? No. That is whatever boon, if you by mercy of a non-devotee, if he is blessing you to get more money, if you get money, finally what will happen? You will be entangled in material birth and death. With the more money, you will do so many other things which may cause you to bind into the material world. So that's where the curse of a Brahmana will be like a boon, but as a boon of a non-devotee, we can treat it as a curse. So that is one of the key messages. That is in the same respect if we think. So we have to follow the same thing. If the Brahmana curse you, we should take this as his blessing. And we should not retaliate, do anything harmful. So we should respect. That is what the Vishnu is expecting from us. So in all these verses, so the Vishnu was emphasizing on the Brahmana. So in this, I would like to just position of a Brahmana in our society. What is the position of Brahmana? What our scriptures are revealing about the position of Brahmana? So, in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, text 13, we have a very famous verse. Chaturvarnam maya srishta gunakarma vibhagasa. So, it was clearly Bhagavad Gita Krishna mentioned, there are 4 varnas he created. So the four varnas are Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. So these are the four varnas. But it is how it was created. This was not based on our birth. It was based on the qualities. Qualities means what? So when the person enters into the material world, the three modes, the three gunas will be acting on you continuously. Right? Based on those gunas, the mode of goodness, passion and ignorance, the qualities, those will be working on this person and he will be exhibiting. So based on those gunas, it was classified Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. So these are all the four varnas. Now we have an analogy, it was mentioned in some of the purports in Bhagavad Gita, where this Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra were compared with a human body. Where Brahmana is like a head and Kshatriya is like hands and Vaishya is like a belly and Shudra is like legs. So we compare, this is an analogy. So now if in our body, if we don't have our legs, one leg or two legs, still we can survive. We can see many people going on a wheelchair and surviving, right? It's good to have two legs, it's better, but we don't know. So if we can see on the road, many people who have it no leg or single leg, they are surviving. How? They are using the wheelchairs, similarly with the hand. If you have one hand or two hands, still we can survive. But if his head is not there, head is chopped off, what is the status of person? Person is dead. Right? No value to the body. Same way, in our society, the value of Brahmana is like that. Where its Brahmana is considered as head. Why? If the head is not there, no value for Brahmana. Similarly, in the society, if there is no Brahmana, there is no value for society. How? What Brahmana does? He, for all other varnas, in the like Kshatriya, Shudra and Vaishya, he elevates them to the higher level. He provide the Shastra, Jnana, knowledge, using which the Brahmanas provide those knowledge and using which the Kshatriyas and everyone will be elevated to the higher level. So that is the importance of Brahmana in the current society. So in this regard, just I would like to highlight that Vishnu is mentioning many verses praising the Brahmana. So but in the society, what is the importance of Brahmana? This is one analogy I would like to present. And the next one, we understood position of Brahmana. The next one, we can also understand potency of a Brahmana. What is the potency of a Brahmana? How we can understand? We can take multiple pastimes in this to explain the potency of a Brahmana. One such pastime I can remember is from Padma Puran, the Gokarna and Dundukari. It is generally we hear this pastime to glorify the Srimad Bhagavatam, right? So I think most of you know, but still I will try to cover it in quickly. This pastime, the Gokarna and Dundukari pastimes. See, long back there was a person called Atmadev. His wife's name is Dunduli, and they were not having any children. And he went to a Brahmana, sannyasi, and he explained that he doesn't have any children. Then the Brahmana, the sage gave him a fruit. And he told that you give this to your wife, so you will have children. So then he came back and he gave that fruit to his wife. And his wife is not very straightforward. He's very cunning. He was very not in a good. She's not in a good in mode of goodness. She's in a passion and ignorance state. So she didn't have that fruit, but in return she gave it just to a cow. And at the same time, her sister also was going to deliver a baby. So what she did, finally she spoke to her sister and had an agreement where she'll take the baby from her sister and in return she will give some money. So that's why she didn't have any child from her womb directly, but she is taking the child from her sister. So the two things, one, she gave the fruit to cow, and other one, her sister is delivering a baby. So after some time, they both delivered the baby. So the cow delivered a human being like a baby. They named it as a Gokarna, and her sister delivered a boy. His name. They named it as a Dundukari. So both Dundukari and Gokarna, they were like the kids. But the Gokarna is bringing his brought up was in a pious environment. He was going as per the Shastras. He's learning Shastras, scriptures. He's trying to be a nice and good boy within a mode of goodness. Whereas Dundukari, he is going in a completely wrong direction. So after a few years, the same behavior was continuing. And the Dundukari became more arrogant, more like a negative side, no negative characters all developed. Whereas Dundukari, Gokarna is still he became a nice Brahmana. So once their parents left the body, like both, because by saying all these bad things done by Dundukari, they couldn't tolerate and they left the body. So now Dundukari he was still continuing with all the bad things, whereas Gokarna, he left the house. He was roaming all the pilgrimages and everything. So he he's a nice Brahmana, he's in the devotional path. So after few years, even Dundukari left his body. Then Gokarna returned to the house. And he was staying in this house, but on one night, he realized that the brother who became a ghost, he's creating noise in the house. Then he realized that, okay, he has to deliver his brother. Then he started reciting Srimadi. Then he arranged Bhagavat Saptah for 7 days. Then he invited everyone in the village people as well. So he told his brother, the Dundukari also. So Dundukari also, he started listening Bhagavatam. The 7 days Bhagavat Saptah had completed. At the end of the 7th day, the plane came from Vaikunta. Take this Dundukari back to their abode, the Vaikunta. Then Gokarna was surprised. The many people were listening Bhagavatam along with Dundukari. Why there is only one plane? Then they were told that Vaikunta, those people, those who came to bring the Dundukari, they told, okay, rest of the people didn't listen to Bhagavatam faithfully. Though they were sitting there, their mind is not in the pure mode to listen the Bhagavatam. Only Dundukari was the one who listened Bhagavatam carefully. So they are then the Gokarna decided to do another Saptah for 7 days. Then he told everyone to listen carefully. Then after 7 days, again the Vaikunta planes came and they took all the people from that village and they did. So this word story can be most of the times we listen to understand the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. But here one more aspect I would like to bring. The Gokarna is a Brahmana. What he did? First time he saw only one person delivered, Dundukari, who was a ghost. But later he recited again. Though Bhagavatam is there, if no one is reciting Bhagavatam, people would not get opportunity, right? So Gokarna decided to recite the second time to deliver all the other people in the village. So that is the potency of Brahmana. If he has ability to deliver everyone in the village. Same thing we can see from the Srila Prabhupada. Our Srila Prabhupada, what he did, at the age of 70, he went to US. And when he doesn't know anyone there. And he started with kirtan and small little sweets. And after some time, many people joined him. And once Prabhupada started ISKCON, what happened? Many of the people who are hippies, drug addicts, the Prabhupada called them Melichas, right? What happened? They left their houses, they left their jobs, they left their money, they left their family, and they surrendered to Prabhupada. And what happened? They became great sannyasis, brahmacharis. So that is the potency of a Brahmana. Why we have to respect Brahmana? Brahmana has that power. He can deliver. Now, if you see the Prabhupada mission, he traveled all over the world multiple times. He established 108 temples. Everything what he did, he tried to deliver whole world. And his mission is still continuing. Though he is not here physically, but his instructions, his disciples, still doing the same job to deliver the whole world. So these examples tell the potency of a Brahmana. How? Though that is the reason Vishnu is mentioning clearly, don't disrespect. Even they speak harsh words, listen them. Don't retaliate. So that is these are the messages we can take it back from this verse. So now we understood the potency of power of position of a Brahmana in the society and potency of a Brahmana also. Now we understand the philosophy. What is our responsibility now? So we should also try to implement those qualities. Like in general, what would be our mood? Suppose if we are in the temple, We are doing this in festival day, we serve prasadam. And some people come, Prabhuji, can I get one more time? Then some people, due to various reasons, okay, we have very less prasadam, many devotees coming, so you come back later. Then sometimes devotee may not feel very pleasant because he was asking one rasgulla, one gulab jam extra. We didn't get that. So, but the other devotee's intention is that he wanted to serve all the other people. But again, when you see that devotee next time, you will immediately remember, oh, this devotee didn't give me my rasgulla last time, right? So you will have in your mind, automatically it will come, though it is not intentional. By seeing this person, excuse me, you will remember that incident. So this is what they're telling. We should not remember try to remember and take that in your mind. And so we should always, it's not easy. Whatever qualities mentioned, Prabhupada mentioned in the translation and purport, by seeing smiley faces, respecting all the people, Brahmanas, with even though they speak harsh words, it's not easy practically, right? It's just example I said. If as soon as I see, I recollect whatever bad things happened with that person, it's keep coming into our mind. So it's not easy to practice these qualities what Vishnu was mentioning. It looks easy that if you remember these things, Vishnu will remember them as in his heart. But in practically, it's not easy to implement these active qualities. Our mind is so conditioned, we'll keep getting into those bad experiences we had with them. We try to, so that will obviously, even you try to make happy smiley face, it won't come. When your mind is thinking over the past, you won't be able to show smiley face to the Brahmana. No, it's not practically possible. So that's where we should remove our conditioned state and we should develop the qualities. So, and I remember in one of the previous classes, Baba Prabhu mentioned about 26 qualities of Vaishnava. So, all those qualities we are not going to discuss in detail. Prabhu has mostly covered in detail. But what I am trying to see is some of the pastimes which we can take and understand how they are exhibiting in various situations. And that will help us to meditate on those qualities and we can develop those qualities. So, some of the qualities the main qualities which we have to develop are those tolerate, mercy, compassion, all those things we should develop. How we should develop, it's our sadhana based on our devotional service. But I will give some nice pastimes not from the Srimad Bhagavatam, but it has happened with the Prabhupada time and various. So I'll give few examples. When we see these examples, definitely it will give some positive hope that we should be able to develop those qualities to become a nice devotee where we respect the Brahmanas and Vishnu will remember us in his heart. So those examples. And I'll write one more nice statement. The symptoms of a sadhu are, he is tolerant, merciful and friendly to all living entities. He has no enemies. He is peaceful. He abides by the scriptures. So these are the qualities we should try to develop. So we have another 5 minutes, but we'll try to cover as many pastimes as possible. Yeah. So one of the pastimes is from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. We all know the famous pastime from Jagai Madai. So in this pastime, Jagai Madai, they attacked Nityanand Prabhu. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to know about this and he tried to kill Jagai and Madai. But Nityanand Prabhu stopped him. He gave so much instructions at that time, but finally he pacified Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then later the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivered Jagai and Madai. So when we see the qualities like we should be tolerant and compassionate and all those things, it doesn't mean that we should be all the time very smooth and soft spoken. That is not the expectation. When it is for us, for our individual, if someone is blaspheming us, we should be tolerant, we should be compassionate. But if someone is trying to damage by a Vaishnava or a Brahmana, trying to attack some Brahmana, we should not keep quiet. What we have to do? This is the Chaitanya Charitamrita Adilila. Nice statements I captured. I will read out. If someone blasphemes a Vaishnava, one should stop him with higher arguments and higher reason. If one is not expert enough to do this, he should give up his life on the spot. And if he cannot do this, he must go away. But we should never listen to blasphemy against a Vaishnava. So this is one of the qualities. So even though we should be compassionate, tolerate, merciful, but when it comes to protecting a Vaishnava, a Brahmana, we should not hesitate. We should. I remember one pastime, one real incident in some lectures I heard. So one brahmachari, he joined a temple. Actually, before joining to brahmachari, he was an expert in martial arts. So one day, some dacoits attacked on the temple, and they tried to take all the whatever is there in the temple. They try to take it. So this brahmachari, then he knows that. So since he's a brahmachari, he doesn't need to serve. So what he did, he realized that they're taking all the aspects of Vishnu temple. So he came and he used his martial arts. He kicked them out of the temple. So that is Brahmana is not like always smooth and soft. So when it is required, he has to exhibit his qualities, his skills to protect the dharma. So that is one thing we need to remember. So we have to be merciful, kind, but at the same time, when it has to be protect some Vaishnava, some Brahmana, we should be utilizing our skills to protect it. And one more past and just a brief discussion between Prabhupada and Bhakti Swarup Damodar Swami Maharaj. So Bhakti Swarup Damodar Swami Maharaj was maintaining Bhakti Vedanta Institute. And one day he visited Prabhupada and he told Prabhupada, you are maintaining complete ISKCON all over the world. You will have so many problems. I am still not able to maintain this institute. I am having so many issues to resolve. So many things coming up every day and night. So what is the reason how you are able to resolve all these issues, all the problems in the complete ISKCON? Then Prabhupada, a simple answer. I always think that I am doing service for my Guru. When I think that, I don't see all these as problems. So that is the mood of a devotee. You always think that he is serving some Vaishnava, some Brahmana, or the Guru, spiritual master. So whenever you are doing, you should think that these are all the... So that is where the Prabhupada gave the one example. So this is a nice example to contemplate for us to take. So what we should think? We always to think whatever we are doing as a service, we are trying to do the service for the pleasure of Brahmana, Vaishnava, Guru. So then we don't think all these problems. We will find a way. Krishna will give a way to resolve all the issues what you are having. So this is one nice example. And there is another incident where Srila Prabhupada visited in India, Madhya Pradesh, one big city called Indore. So one big rich person invited Srila Prabhupada and all his disciples for the lunch, prasadam. So the house is very big. There is they offered all the big tables and chairs to have prasadam. And the Srila Prabhupada sat on the top and all other devotees were sitting. This is his brahmachari devotees and everyone sitting next to Srila Prabhupada. And then they were serving nice prasadam. And the devotee, the house owner devotee, he offered nice sweets. The second one, first time he served, again he came for second serve. And this brahmachari, all other people were taking second time. So since he was a brahmachari, he was hesitating. No, if I take another second one, the Prabhupada may think that I am trying to the more sense gratification, or everybody will think that I am eating more. So then he was hesitant, and he doesn't. At the same time, he is having some health. It may cause impact on his health as well, stomach. So he's not considering all these aspects. He's not taking in a second sense. Then the person came again, offered him. Then he denied. Then Prabhupada looked at him. When that old man is coming and offering second time, take it. Don't deny it. So then Prabhupada, then the brahmachari came and took then he took the sweet and honored it. So then that was the mood. So we have some rules, but we need to be flexible enough to see how strict we have. So if the person, if we are making happy
one person by Brahmana or one old person, devotee is happy with our actions, we should not hesitate to do that. So the brahmachari was telling, in this regards, I am making happy two old persons. One is the person who invited, and second one is Prabhupada. So when the Prabhupada instructed, he was saying that in this way he is trying to make happy two Vaishnavas. So these are some of the examples we should take to apply in our lives so that we can be merciful. And another example is Srila Prabhupada saw, this is a compassionate nature, which this example mainly. So he saw many kids fighting on the road with the dogs to take leftover prasadam. Right? So he saw on the road, streets of where the kids are, some people throw prasadam and kids are trying to take prasadam. At the same time, dogs were coming and taking prasadam. This incident made Prabhupada to start the Food for Life. So from that time onwards, he decided, surrounding the temple, 10 miles, no one should feel hunger. So that was the reason then Prabhupada. So this is the compassionate nature of Prabhupada, how he's thinking. So we should also try to develop this mood when you're in our service to get this kind of, and to develop our qualities. So in summary, what is our takeaway, right? So as we discussed earlier, developing these qualities is not an easy thing. But what we can do is like, I think this was a technique was mentioned by His Holiness Vedavyas Priya Maharaj in one of the lectures, right? Suppose if you are seeing a person, you have to refresh your mind, like reset everything. Like when we get a new phone, what we do, after a year of using, sometimes if you have any issues, you try to do factory reset. So what will happen? It will become fresh. So if you are seeing some people, big people, like whomever you are visiting, if you have any bad experience, anything, it's better to reset your mind, everything, go with a fresh look. So that way, you will not get your previous bad experiences, bad teacher, you. So you always try to refresh your mind and go see the people. So that way, it will avoid you to get back your old memories and you can deal nicely with the Brahmanas. So that was the one approach he was mentioning. So when we deal with the fresh look, we will not have any prejudice in our mind, no envious against those people. So in summary, what is that we have to do? When I meet a people, I should try to see what they could become. Right? And we should do all our austerities to make us soft. So that we should not feel very hard-hearted people. We should be soft. But how it will come? That will come through our austerities. Today is Ekadashi. So we can have an austerity, whatever is possible within our bodily capacity. So that austerities will make us soft. When we are soft, we will not be disrespecting anyone. So when we see Brahmana and Vaishnavas, then our mind automatically tuned to respect those people. So we should always definitely follow the austerities within our bodily capacity. That will make us soft-hearted. And when we should see with the devotee what he could become. So if you are a big person, you don't. But if you are a smaller person, is less older than you, you can guide him with the intention what he could become, where he can go, if he can elevate. So those are the aspects we should consider. So I should practice to become more forgiving. So we should always try to forgive. That quality, forgive again. When we become soft-hearted, we can easily forgive. Otherwise, we should work hard to get those quality. And I should try to engage everyone in the service of Lord, including my own self. So what we have to do, we all always have a mood to engage everyone in the service. So everything is like the Krishna conscious atmosphere. So then our qualities will be, our conditional nature will be removed more easily. So these are all the various. So in summary, just we recap what exactly we discussed in the translation. Lord Vishnu was mentioning to whom he can remember devotees in his heart. So he mentioned qualities. The people will express smiley face, they exhibit smiley faces, they respect all the brahmanas if they speak harsh words, and they will take all the normal brahmana as like a representative of Vishnu. So in those mode, when they do every time, it's whenever you see, it's not just one off. Regularly if you do, then the Lord Vishnu remembers them in his heart. So in this aspect, we try to understand what all in the previous pastimes we try to see who all are followed, who are the great devotees who followed this in these footsteps of these Vishnu's words. We see the Nalakuvera and Manigriva pastime, Parikshit Maharaj pastimes. And then we try to understand position of a Brahmana in our society. Because Vishnu is mentioning, when Vishnu is mentioning someone to respect, then we should understand from the scriptural perspective what is his position. Excuse me. And then we try to understand the potency of a Brahmana. What is the potency of a Brahmana? Why we should respect? So he can deliver whole world. We saw the examples of Srila Prabhupada. We saw the examples of Gokarna and Dundukari pastime, where it clearly mentions Brahmana has the potency to deliver everyone. So we should, that's the reason. And after that, how to develop these qualities in us. That's where we try to develop these qualities by reading, seeing some pastimes from Srila Prabhupada and other great acharyas. So that is the summary of today's class. If you have any comments and correction, Hare Krishna. Yeah, nice. Yeah, the nice example, Mataji. Yeah, that's their nature, humility, compassion. All these things we can see that it's people are still, yeah, they are able to follow the properly. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. Thanks. Nice. Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah. See, okay, in this instance, initially the four Kumaras were in a Brahman level, but later they also became the devotees. Right? Yes, we can understand from this past time, we can deduct. Before they became devotees, they cursed, they were angry. But the Jaya Vijaya, they were devotees, they They were taking it. They are not responding back. Yeah. So whatever Vishnu was selling, they are exhibiting it here. The same thing was they are also exhibiting, right? So the Jai Vijaya, they haven't retaliated, even though Brahmanas got angry. So Brahmanas, they are getting angry. In many instances, we can see. In Parishit Maharaj's pastime also, Shrungi, he got angry. But the later, sometimes in the moment of time, they will be, because they are only Brahman, sages. They are not, some of them are not purely Vaishnavas, the devotees. That they must have got angry. But again, others said the devotees were there, they were not responding in the same way. Like the Parikshit Maharaj, they didn't respond.
And the other thing you mentioned about food for life, how it actually started. Did Prabhupada actually say that it's not just distributing prasadam, but actually kirtanam as well, like chanting as well? Is that some kirtan is actually included?
So, but in this instance specifically, they mentioned for the hunger people. So that is, but in other, he must have mentioned in other references, but in this instance, when I read that pastime, he was only mentioning about distributing food, because kids were fighting. When they are fighting for food, the need is food. Yeah, even if you do kirtan, and at that time, their mind will not absorb in kirtan, right? So they need food for. So if you are feeling hungry, the main thing will be you want to fulfill your hunger first. Even if you put kirtan also, you may be listening, but you may not be able to get into the kirtan mood. But the primary focus would be to pacify their hunger. So that way, in that context, Prabhupada mentioned this. Yeah. Yeah, that's what in some places Prabhupada mentioned. Every Brajavasi we should respect. Though in outward they may look differently, but we should give proper respect to all the Brajavasis. Hare Krishna. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.